What's up? I'm Ayla.
Hi, I'm Beth Ann.
And this is Let's Talk BL, a Boys Love podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. It is Sunday, Series Sunday, the day of the week where we talk all about one series and one series only. Chock full of spoilers. So if you have not watched this series, shame on you because it's only 8 episodes. So
it's only 8 episodes and it's so cute, yet so frustrating, yet so it's so much. It's just so much.
Cute. I mean, it's only 8 episodes, so I feel like you go into it being like, okay, this can't last forever. Like the drama will end quickly. Maybe. I don't know. At least I felt that way.
This show was an experience. Today, we're talking about Star in My Mind.
Dun, dun, dun. I mean, you knew it was coming. So let's get to the nuts and bolts before we get into it. It's a GMM show, so it's on YouTube. Directed by none other than New, Wabi Sabi New, which Wab Cafe makes a fun little appearance.
Yes.
Always fun. You have, y'all, the new ship. Truly the boys that are taking the ship world by storm. Joong Dunk. You have Kab Klun, played by Joong.
Yes.
And DaoNuea, played by Dunk, which we get some fun Thai vocabulary with these names.
Yes, DaoNuea is North Star, Dao is Star, Nuea is North.
Yes.
And then Kab Klun is waves, like ocean waves. So that's fun. Right?
I love when we get a little
Super cute.
You know, it's like
I like when they have exactly. I like when they have Thai names.
Thai vocab names. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like Thai names.
Truly.
Yeah. It's fun.
It's a fun way to learn Thai.
Okay, before we get into the show, again, it's only 8 episodes, but there's so much to talk about. And there's so many people to talk about. And there's just so many things.
There was so many people to write into this guide. We sometimes we're like, should we include this? And I feel like every single character played such a vital role that I had to write them all out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we get into all of that, let's go with the synopsis. DaoNuea had a crush on Kab Klun in high school and confessed his feelings on his last day at the school. However, he was gently rejected. Now starting university, DaoNuea discovers that one of his dorm mates is none other than Kab Klun. What will happen when you stop loving someone, but they begin loving you?
Okay, there are some wild inaccuracies in this.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, would we say he was gently rejected?
No, he wasn't rejected at all.
Right.
He said, have a nice flight because homeboy was leaving the country. He's like, I like you, and the homeboy leaves the country. And what we find out is that Klun runs after him 10 years too late.
Well, we find that out 10 years too late. He ran after him in the moment.
No, I know. But he also ran after him 10 years too late because Nuea was in a car down the road. And there was too much time. It was, if you're watching What Zab Man, there's a scene where one of the boys leaves and what feels like 10 hours later, he runs after him and you're like, he gone. He bye-bye. You know, the urgency.
Well, I mean, he left to go get the bracelet. I feel like this wasn't his fault. He was like, okay, he's leaving.
In his book bag right there.
He went to go get it and then he's running after the car. And I feel like he was pretty close too because you could still see him because you could see DaoNuea in the car and you can see out the window, you can see Klun. So I feel like maybe let's not.
Okay, if you're sitting in the back seat of a car, can you see the road from the rearview mirror?
No.
So that's the trouble with every time somebody is running after someone in a car, they're in the back seat.
Right. Well, because the idea is they'll catch up to the car, right, and tap on the the trunk or something, right?
He's gone.
Anyways, the other inaccuracy is stop loving someone because let's all be very honest. Nuea never stopped loving.
He always is
Klun.
He's always I'm gonna try to.
He's
stop.
always I'm over you.
No, he's always I'm gonna try. I need to stop. He keeps trying to tell himself this needs to stop and he will never.
Well, I feel like he does tell Klun multiple times. He's I don't like you anymore. He's it was just a crush. I don't like you. He does say that multiple times, but he didn't actually.
No.
He didn't actually.
Also, they're not dorm mates. They're roommates for a hot minute.
Right. I mean, I guess they are dorm mates for I mean, it's only an 8-episode show, so most of the show.
But yeah, that synopsis was ridiculous.
Yeah.
This show, for it to be so short, has so many settings.
Well, and there's just a lot of development here. I feel like almost at the expense of the story. They spent so much time developing it at the expense of like stuff happening, quite frankly.
Interesting. I liked the pacing. I
felt like, I mean, we spent so much time trying to wait for Clune to just say something.
I mean, I thought that typhoon moment was really ridiculous, where we get this whole like,
he's like, I'm gonna date you for a day.
I wonder if they took the novel and like gave you as much as they could in a condensed version, and that's why we got what we got, because like they wanted to explain, like they had to explain like the brother, for example. Like the brother could have really been left out for a good part of it, but they had to really develop the love story as well as like the brother relationship, because that's like part 2 of the series.
Right. Well, and I mean, but here's the other frustrating thing about this show that we were just talking about. This happens in La Cuisine, another fantastic show. Brothers that are related.
P that is actually
a P. A P that's actually a P. If someone assumes that you're dating your younger brother, you correct them. Like, this doesn't happen for the longest time in this show.
And because they have different last names, like you would think at this point he'd figure out how to be more clear.
Right.
Like,
it's very frustrating. And then
you
finally,
got different baby daddies. Like, you got to be clear.
Nuea does have a moment where he's like, no, that's like my actual brother, right? He finally tells his friends, he's like, no, he's like my actual brother.
Because he clearly is like, we have different mothers, but the same father. Or different dads but the same mom.
Yeah. And so what's interesting is like, it is this very interesting like crash course in like Thai vocabulary culture that when we were watching the show, had just learned in Thai class. And because we asked this question flat out, we were like, is there a word for like blood relative?
Because in Korean they have it.
In Korean, because
they
of course
add something to hyung, right?
Right. In Korean, you also have the equivalent of like P and Nong in hyung and oppa, right?
Right.
And Nuna, and right. And so like you have the equivalents, but there's a way to describe like my blood relative, right? Like my blood oppa versus like just like my oppa, right?
Yeah.
And so we flat out asked in Thai class,
like, no.
And our teacher was like, no, there's not a word for that. We just have P and Nong. And we were like, and we asked too, we were like, so how do you know if you're talking to someone? And literally our Thai teacher said, you don't.
And this is what's funny. This is what I've learned in getting into Thai culture, is that the Thai are very vague about relationships. So fan could literally mean a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a fiance, or a wife or a husband.
Yes, we also learned that in Thai class.
Which is like wild, which makes sense why.
Like there is a word for husband and wife, but it's like, it's evidently
used.
Very common.
Yeah.
It's apparently very common to call your husband or wife fan. Still.
So it makes sense why in Thai culture you wouldn't know about a whole sibling if you were friends with someone their whole life.
Because we had this in Manner of Death. We were like, how does he not know that they're related? They've been friends since childhood. Right. But now that we know that like everyone's P and Nong.
Yeah.
Right? Like it makes sense.
And it's not gendered, which is it's
and you don't know. I mean, they do say like P shy, which is like older brother. Right? Like my P shy is like my older brother. But like there is no way to describe unless you say we have the same parents.
Yeah.
Right? That like this is my blood relative. And so it's like, it's this funny, you see this moment. There's a moment between Clune and Nuea where Clune does kind of flat out ask, like, who is he to you?
Right.
And he's like, he's my P.
It's a full special someone moment, just like in La Cuisine.
Well, except that it's not, because La Cuisine is way creepier. He's like, he's my special
But they do
person.
have that moment where he's like, he's special to me. Like, before you get the clarification, he's like, of course he's special to me, because he calls him Dao, and that's only for like people who are like your significant other, right? In that video, he's like, I let my significant other call me Dao, and he is like, and Clune is like, why did you let him call you Dao? And he's like, he's my special like he's special to me, like,
right? He doesn't say special someone.
No,
This is
he
not
says-
La Cuisine.
he says
But
he's
he's like, he
special.
says, oh, well, he's my P. Like, we're close.
So ridiculous.
And you have this
Ugh.
moment where even Clune is like, but what do you mean by P? And this is my favorite part of this show, because it fully tells me that even Thai people have trouble with this aspect of Thai culture, which makes me feel so much better, because there's this moment where he's like, he's my P. And Clune goes, what do you mean by that? Right? Clune flat out asks me, he's like, what do you mean he's your P? And Nuea, sweet summer child,
This is
doesn't
should have broken into
understand.
English.
doesn't understand what he's saying. And he goes, well, a P is someone that's born before
First,
you.
yeah.
And he kind of like
Ugh.
talks down to him. He's like, and Nong is the younger person, right? He like explains it as though he's a dummy. And it's like, it's not what he's asking you. But it's like, it's hilarious. It's so funny.
I feel the same way about this that I feel about the honorifics in Korean. I love this nuance of language because we don't have anything like that in our language.
Right.
And so I just find that so interesting. Like they really harp on the honorifics and those titles in Korean and K-dramas. And so this was really funny. They've been leaning into like the P-nong of it all a lot lately, and it's been fun.
It was, like that moment was so funny to me, that whole conversation, because I was like, same.
Yeah.
Although I will say it is like, once he realizes, I think this is different from La Cuisine, because in La Cuisine, the brother is just a psychopath and is just like actively trying to convince people he's dating his little brother, which is weird and like gross. But it's genuinely just that like Nuea doesn't understand that people wouldn't realize that they're like actually brothers.
Right.
And so once he does clarify, he like tells his friends, he's like, no, he's like, you know, we have the same mom but different dads.
Yeah.
And because his friends are like, you guys are like something, right? And he's like, ew, no, why would you say that? Right? Like he has that moment. It made me so happy because I thought it was so funny when Mook recently had to tweet and she was like, Mek is my brother. She's like,
stop
don't
asking.
get it twisted.
She's like, stop asking if he's sad that I'm not single anymore.
That I'm not single. Because she's like, he's not my fiance, he's not my boyfriend, he's not my younger brother, he is my older brother.
She's saying
he's
all this
my
in
brother,
Thai.
right? She's like, not my fiance, not my boyfriend, not. And I'm like, this is how we communicate to people. We just be clear, like pull a Mook.
That's so funny. So Cobb Clune and DaoNuea, these characters, Joong Dunk, kill these characters. These boys for Dunk's first show ever.
Well, not his first show ever, his first leading role ever. He was in Bad Buddy.
Right.
You keep forgetting he was in Bad Buddy. I will never forget.
What character does he play?
He's one of the bandmates
What's
in the
his
high school
name?
band. They don't name him.
He probably has like 2 minutes in that show.
Yeah, but I'll never forget.
Oh my god. But for this to be his first leading role, I feel like he kills it because, of course, if you know anything about Joong and Dunk, their real life personalities, if you watched even 2 minutes of Safe House, you'll know that like their personalities, especially Joong's.
Joong and Clune are two very, very different people.
I bet it was so incredibly difficult for Joong to play Clune because he doesn't talk for a good first portion. And when he does talk, he talks in riddles.
When we asked Joong about this, and he was like, it wasn't hard because I didn't have any lines. He was like, I just learned the character. But he was like, yes, he did say, and I mean, he said in multiple interviews that like Clune is so different from him.
Yeah.
And I knew that because I was a big Two Moons 2 fan.
Right.
So like I knew who Joong was, and I watched all those promos that those boys did and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I knew, and I kept trying to tell you, and you were very sus of him in the beginning. you did not believe me. And I was like, no, like, he's super fun. Like, he's not.
Because anything you showed, because we always before interviews try to figure out how much English these boys have, just so
Right.
that we can communicate properly with them. And like, you had no clue really how much English he had, because a lot of times in those 2 Moons 2 group interviews, especially, like, he kind of is
It's Ben and
shyer.
Pavel, right? It's Ben and Pavel that
Yeah.
are right, because like Ben
Yeah.
and Pavel are like fluent, and so
have
is Joong, but
very
like
strong personalities.
yes, Pavel especially has a very strong
Yeah.
personality. I love Pavel so much.
So I think in the context of those, like, what, 5 boys, 5 boys,
Well,
6 boys, is that Joong plays like a quieter, more reserved role, because a lot of those interviews were in English.
Well, there are 2.
There what?
There are 2.
What do you mean?
2 Moons 2 interviews in English, like 2 main ones. Yeah.
Well, the ones that we watched, that we were trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was the content that I had seen. So I was like, I don't know.
You were very sus of him, and I was like, no, because like I of course had seen all his Instagram lives and all his like, right, because like I was a fan of that cast, like while 2 Moons 2 was going on.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, and you just like you could not. And then we interviewed them, and it was like, Joong was a lot.
So yeah, him playing this character is wild to see, because for me, when I was watching the show, it was like, the poor boy probably just wants to scream. Like, I feel like he probably got off set and was like, need to talk to someone, like, must say all the words to everybody. Like,
I feel like Joong takes his acting very seriously, and he probably was like in character. He probably was,
he went
like,
full method.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Joong is a very studious boy.
But what I love about what they did with this couple is that you go through this most frustrating of like getting them together, but when they do get together, oh my gosh, Clune goes like full softy, like loving, affectionate. Like, I feel like Joong,
but it's
gets to
so
put
frustrating.
into Clune a little.
It's so, he does a little bit, but it's still so freaking frustrating waiting for them to get together, because like you said, Clune speaks in freaking riddles. He is truly like Rumpelstiltskin. Yes. I mean, this man.
But also, he's literally having to fight off like 5 different people.
Oh, my favorite scene in this show is when they're in the dorm and they're all drinking and they're all sitting around just talking about how in love they are with Nuea.
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense to me.
Oh.
But also, like, that's my favorite scene in this whole show because it's so funny.
I feel like he shows up to that little rehearsal late, and that whole like stadium seating is like, that boy. I want that boy. And then like one by one, they're like, no.
But it's so frustrating because you just keep waiting for Clune to not be so stupid.
Especially the episodes where instead of using his big boy words, he decides to kiss him.
He just kisses him. That's really frustrating for me. That made me really mad.
There was another show recently where I'm like, oh, it was Cutie Pie, Max Nat storyline. They could not use their words. I'm like, we
don't kiss instead of talk. You do both. You do both. Porque no los dos. It's very frustrating.
I mean, Mile Apo just gave a whole explanation of how sex is important to communicate sometimes. I'm like, the only men would say that. Truly.
This is not a Kin Porsche series Sunday.
So yeah, when they do finally get together, it's very, Clune stops speaking in riddles and they become very clear. But then Dao also has moments where he's like, when Papang confesses her feelings.
He is so frustrating. He's like, I just don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm like, kid, you gotta tell her.
Just cut it off.
You gotta tell her. What other show were we watching where we were like, you have to tell her?
In Together With Me.
Oh no, Heartstopper. I was like, it was a new show. Not a new show. Yeah. There was a new show where we were like, bro, you have to tell her. You have to tell her now, bro. You have to tell her. And then he did.
And the tuxedo.
And then he did because Nick, best boy.
Yeah.
And he did immediately tell her as soon as like her dog didn't die. But
her dog did die because she had to, or he took his dog
Right,
to
that's
the
what I mean,
park.
like, as soon as she had gotten over her dead
Yeah,
dog.
yeah.
Right, because, like, the day he was gonna go tell her, she literally was like, "My dog died," and I was like, "Oh."
Don't do that.
But I was like, "You have to tell her."
Yeah.
And then he won't tell her. He's like, "Of course you can have a chance." And I'm like, at this point, she's not even a villain for going after him. Like, that's on him.
No, totally.
Because we just talked about how, like, girls in BL, like, you don't keep going after the boy when he tells you he's not interested.
Yeah.
This is not her fault.
Everyone was like, we had a missed opportunity with her and Ting Ting, Saizi's character.
Right,
They
for a
should
GL.
They should have like
Yeah, they
explored
should have GL'd it.
Oh, Saizi, love her.
I know.
Obsessed. As soon as she came onto our screen, because this cast is stacked, and I don't remember really knowing who was a part of it. And then, like, the first episode, these people show up one after the other, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would love to see Saizi in a GL. I would watch the hell out of that.
This is one show that we get, like, so many different studio overlaps. Because we get Yacht and Sammy from Wabi
Right,
Sabi.
Yacht and Sammy are in this for more than just one episode because they're billed for just one episode, but they're actually in like
a couple.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get Poppy from Dumundi.
As a surprise.
I know.
I freaked out. I was like, I literally screamed Poppy.
So
Poppy is in everything right now. My
Literally
dude is booked and busy as well he should be.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's emceeing literally any event that Xenu do.
He is wonderful and perfect. Poppy, I love you.
Love it.
I would die for you.
Okay, let's talk about the friends, because these friends.
Okay, first let's talk about Typhoon first.
Potential suitors.
Right, because Typhoon is the most
Oh my god.
frustrating. So I hate Typhoon.
Pretty much all of these friends at some point or another do their best to, like, help these two get together in their own way. Because Typhoon at the end is like, I did this to show Clune.
Yeah, no, that was a lie. I don't care if that's what he said.
And his feelings were definitely in it too.
No, yeah, that was fully a lie. That's like when you like make a mistake and you're like, I totally meant to do that. Yeah.
That whole storyline made no sense where he's like, be my boyfriend for a day.
I hate Typhoon. And yes, his excuse was that like he was trying to show Nuea how much he really did like Clune, because at that point Clune had confessed to him and Nuea was like, I don't want you. I hurt too much from loving you. I can't love you, whatever. He was like having that moment. And so Typhoon, his story was that he like made him date him so that he could like understand he really wanted to be with Clune. Lies. That was a lie. Full lie. And then he admits that it was a lie because he's like, Nuea asks him, he's like, why'd you post it like on Instagram? This was supposed to just be like a test, like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I was hoping it would last longer than a day.
Right.
So like he admits.
Here's the thing. I will say DaoNuea has fault in this as well, because he knew from the jump that Typhoon was fully in love with him.
And okay, like, I'm less worried about this. What I hate,
been fully in love with him.
Here's why I hate Typhoon is because he comes on to Nuea multiple times after Nuea says, I'm not interested in you. I don't want this. And you know that I have trouble telling people that I don't want this. So why do you keep doing this to me? He literally kisses him after he tells him not to.
Yeah.
Like, that's not okay. You don't get to behave that way. I hate Typhoon.
Kiss him?
In the bar. And then
when he's like trying to like prove his feelings.
Right.
He did get punched. That was nice.
And like, but in like before they get together, like when they're all hanging out in the bar. So like not that bar scene, but the bar scene previous to it.
Right.
Nuea literally tells him, don't flirt with me, don't hit on me, like I don't want you, I'm not interested in you, and you know this is hard for me to say, so why are you putting me in this position? And Typhoon still pursues him. Typhoon has zero respect for the boundaries that Nuea is trying to draw with him.
But here's the other thing, because I've been in this position before and I've seen it play out as well, is that someone is saying the words but their actions aren't lining up with it.
It doesn't matter. He told him his hard boundary, and he's like, I still want to be friends with you, we can still be friends, but you can't come on to me. So what's he supposed to do? Just ditch him entirely and be like, we can't even be friends?
Yeah, but don't you think that he should like have those hard boundaries of like maybe not laying on him and maybe not agreeing to be his boyfriend for a day? Like,
Right,
I
but
feel like
he
there's like a
keeps-
double-edged sword.
He keeps coming on to him,
this.
and he's like, this is hard for me. Stop putting me in this position.
It's like that girl who was like, let me love you for the both of us.
Like,
You're like,
Typhoon just has
"Mm,
zero
God."
respect for Nua's boundaries, and
I
I
mean-
don't like that. And Nua's like, we can be friends,
Yeah,
and
well,
of course,
yeah.
in that friend group, it means like laying on each other, right? Because like, as we've seen and learned in other cultures, the way that like
Yeah.
physical touch is interpreted
The boys
between
are-
friend groups
yeah.
is very different than it is in our culture.
Right.
So I don't think that that's necessarily like him being at fault. I think that's him being like, well, we can still be friends. We can be what we've always been, but like, I need you to stop hitting on me.
Yeah, Typhoon was a wild character.
I hate Typhoon. I hate Typhoon so much, but I love Pepper.
Yeah, because there were different levels of friends. Like you had Typhoon, who was like, I will not take no for an answer.
Right.
And then you have Sean, who plays this like neutral party, who's like, bro, this boy likes you. You like him. What are we doing here? Communicate, talk to each other. He literally goes up to Clune and is like, use your big boy words. Like, tell him how you feel.
He's like, you need to tell him.
He tells him, he's like, you like him. He likes you. Like, truly word for word. He's like, you've been in love with him since high school. He's been in love with you since high school. Like, just tell him those words.
Yeah.
And you're like, yes, Sean, you get it.
I love Métis, though. I think is probably my favorite of the friends.
I have loved him since My Gear in Your Gown. I know that wasn't a fan favorite of anyone, but I really liked that show.
I mean, it was okay. Like, I didn't hate it. I just like
thought he was so sweet. And then he shows up again in 5515.
But he's the friend.
He's
if you
so
like don't remember the
funny.
names because there's a lot of like friends
Yeah.
to keep up with. He's the one that is always getting admonished for being flirty.
He's so flirty.
He's so
flirts
flirty.
at the end with Prince.
Honestly, okay, when I was rewatching that scene, because of course we watched this as soon as it came out,
Yeah.
the morning the episode aired, but GMMTV forgot to upload the English subs for 2 of the parts.
Yeah.
So I had to rewatch
For 3 and 4. So we got for 1 and 2, and then 3 starts, and we're like, wait, we don't.
But we got a good amount in before we realized, and we're like, oh, we kind of know Ty. We're like, we kind of know what's happening here.
We're like, they want to eat. They want to sleep.
We're like, they're talking about eating. They're talking about sleeping. They're talking about being boyfriends. Like, he's like, are you still asleep or are you okay? Or did you get car sick or are you okay? And he's like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
he's like, do you want to sleep or you want to eat?
But so I was rewatching part 4 when Métis, like, as soon as he meets Prince, he starts flirting with him. And he says this line where he's like, he's like, oh, you have a business? I'm into business. Do you want a partner? And Prince is like, oh, like, I don't handle the business. My dad does. And he's like, I mean a partner in life. I mean in love. I mean, do you need a partner? And then he's like, I mean, would you like a partner? And literally I'm watching this and I was like, this is Beth Ann. If we ever go to Thailand, as soon as you meet any boy, the first thing I thought is, yes, you're just gonna be like, do you need a partner? Do you need a partner in love?
It's gonna be me reciting all the Thai I know, which is Bimpingana, Chan Chub. What's I like?
Chan Chub.
Or what's kiss? Chub. Isn't kiss and like very similar?
I don't know kiss.
It's chub. Chub.
Someone who speaks Thai, please confirm this.
It's chub. Because they say it a lot somewhere. What show is that?
Someone who speaks Thai, please confirm this.
They say it a lot in Cutie Pie. Jub. Like J-U-B. I'm going to Google it real quick.
But no, like is chub.
Chub. Yeah.
With
It's like C-H-R-O-B. Chorb is how William always romanized it.
Yeah. But you don't pronounce the R.
Chub.
But
yes, that is accurate.
Yes, I literally was watching that scene and I was like, if we were to go to Thailand, literally anyone we meet, the first thing Beth Ann's gonna say to them is, do you need a partner in love?
It is similar. Chub. But like kind of, it's like chub. But like, like romanized, it's like 100 different ways. Chub. Chord, job, daimai. Can I kiss you? I need to learn that one.
I feel like make sure you're pronouncing jub correctly before you start saying words that you've read romanized.
William, help us
before
out.
you just start yelling words in the streets of Thailand.
Now that we don't now that our Thai classes are over, I might need a refresher where I'm like, William, how do you? It was basically just me being like, William, how do you flirt in Thai?
Basically. And every time I just tune out, I'd be like, yeah, no, this lesson is not for me. These classes are not for me.
Meiji is truly my spirit character.
Yes. Fully I was watching that and I was like, this is Beth Ann. Every guy we meet in Thailand, you're gonna be like, do you need a partner in love? Everyone.
Bivengana. Thank you. Don't say no for teaching me that one.
Yep. And then we have JJ, who throughout the entire show.
Did you know that before reading that, or did you read that?
Throughout the entire show,
JJ.
I would go, it's JJ? Wait, no, is it AJ? Or I'd be like, it's AJ. Wait, no, I think it's JJ. Every time I would think I had it mastered which one of them it was, I was wrong about it. So we have either an AJ or a JJ. It's JJ.
It's funny because when I write these guides, I never know what their actual character name is sometimes. Like, I didn't know Sean was Sean. Like, I don't think I registered that one. Definitely didn't know DaoNuea's friends were named Poke Pong and Nee. I knew Clune's friend was Noel because they say it.
They say it
pretty
a lot.
Clearly somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sizey, and I guess Ern's name I didn't really know was Papang.
Papang, yeah. And Gia, you know. Also,
they're always talking about Gia because
her full name is Georgia, or at least it's spelled out Georgia, which of course, if you're in America or I think anywhere in the Western English speaking world,
well, the country
that's pronounced Georgia.
The country's Georgia.
And so, but I noticed when they would say her full name, they would say Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia. And so that's where the Gia of Georgia comes in.
It's that R.
Yeah, Georgia.
Gia was problematic.
No, Gia, it was never Gia's fault. It was all Clune's fault.
Not the person, just her existence.
Not even.
To me, it was problematic because here's the thing. We knew Ep 1, Gia and Clune, not a thing.
I knew they broke up. That was all on Clune and his miscommunication. And I feel like actually she's an essential part of the plot because she shows just how poorly this kid communicates.
I will say she does, or he is very loyal to her, and she tells him not to tell Nuea in that moment that like why he's going to her. Because that's like the climax, right? Where like they've kind of like danced around their feelings for each other. And then finally he's
she doesn't say don't tell Nuea. She says don't tell anyone, not realizing, because you see this during that confrontation.
Right.
Not realizing that it was Nuea. And so when you see her talking to him and he's like, oh, well, I left Nuea. She's like, wait, did you tell him why you came? And he was like, no. And she was like, why not? She was like, obviously when I said don't tell anyone, I didn't mean him.
He's a very black and white character.
She very much was like, you're an idiot. And I think she fully says to his face, like, you're stupid and you're being stupid.
She says that multiple times because like she remains friends with him, so she's known since day one that like he's been in love with this boy,
right? And so no, actually I think she's essential to the plot. I don't think she's problematic at all. I think she's essential to the plot because she shows just how poorly this kid communicates, and also she's the one that fixes things. She goes in and fixes his messes for him.
I just truly, for her to be friends with him for that many years, I don't know how she hasn't like smacked him since then.
I'm sure she has smacked him a few times because there are a couple scenes where she's like, you are so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I have a bunch of stupid friends. It's still friends with them. It's not their fault they're stupid.
It's that whole thing. That was a wild turn where we find out that her boyfriend is abusive,
right?
And you're like,
this went from like 0 to 100 real quick. You're like, oh, we just got heavy.
I mean,
and she's like, I can't tell my mom. Like, whoa,
what a sweet friend, but also so frustrating.
Oh, whoa.
And then of course we get the introduction of Fa. Guy.
Right. So we meet him pretty much from the beginning. We've already talked about how people misconstrued
his brotherhood.
Yes.
And him and Nuea have a sweet relationship where I love that scene where Nuea has come in and he sits on the couch, and he is like, Clune just confessed his feelings to me. He said he liked me. And Fa's like, awesome, great. And he's like, no. He's like, I got him back. He's like, I told him I needed time to think. And it's sweet. It's so sweet because Fa was like, okay, how long do you need? And he was like, oh, I knew the second he said he liked me that I loved him and I was never going to get over him. I like this show.
Honestly,
has really great
that was pretty
lines.
funny. That was pretty funny. I did love, I think my favorite Fa scene is in ep 8 when he's like giving Clune a hard time at the table, and he's like, no, go get the food. And then he's giving him such a hard time, and he's just staring him down. And I remember watching that scene and thinking, like, I bet Mech had so much fun with this.
Yeah.
And then finally, like, my favorite part of that scene is when it's raining and he's like, you can't walk to your car in the rain.
Yes.
You're gonna get sick. And I was like, come on. And then after giving him such a hard time, Fa just turns around and he's like, you might as well just spend the night.
I know. He's like, I got you, bro.
Oh,
like,
I was like,
good big bro.
that's amazing.
Where he knows this boy has been in love with this boy for his entire life, basically.
Honestly, that's the way to do it. Again, not to harp on La Cuisine, but the brother-in-law Cuisine is just so terrible. Like, this is how you accurately do the whole, like, protective older brother thing, the, like, teasing, testing thing.
Yeah.
Not in whatever way this La Cuisine brother is doing it. Like, listen, I get it. Mick must be protected above all others.
Yes.
But
not in the creepy way that you're
not
doing it.
like that. Like, be a Mech. Be a Fa.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we meet Prince at the very end.
He is like the most delicate of flowers.
He's very soft.
Oh.
He's very soft.
I'm excited for Sky in Your Heart.
Yes.
I think this is going to be a great
I don't know if I'm going to like it as much as Star in My Mind.
I feel like I'm expecting different things from them.
I really love Star in My Mind. I loved this show because I was like, this gives me that like BL nostalgia of like when everyone was a university student and everyone was an engineer and like, right, all this stuff. But it's like elevated. It was like, and it had the whole like freshy boy contest thing, which is like a super old BL trope, right? But it was like elevated. It was new. It was fresh. Like it was all this stuff that I already knew and like understood, but it was like a fun new take on it. And it was fun characters and fun actors. And it was just fun. There wasn't a lot of like, I'll be honest, there wasn't a lot of substance to this show. And I think that's okay. Like it was fun. I had so much fun watching this. It reminded me of like watching like all of those university shows that I loved so much, right? Like the 2 Minutes 2 and the Sodases of the world, right? And all of those. And like, I literally from the first episode was like, I love this show. I liked it so much because it was just like fun and sweet and like the drama was there, but it wasn't like we weren't emo all the time. And I feel like that's what's gonna happen in Sky in Your Heart. Is like we're gonna be really emo.
Interesting.
I feel like we're gonna be really emo because of course we know in Ep 8 of Star in My Mind, Mech Fa has gotten into a car accident because he was driving drunk. We do not condone. No. I have a feeling he loses his job because of it, and that's why he goes to Chiang Mai.
He goes to be a volunteer doctor.
Right.
Maybe.
Or maybe, do we think one of his friends dies, and that's why he becomes a volunteer? Do we think that, like, Mike dies?
No, it would have to be Arm, because Mike shows up at the mountainside.
Do we think Arm dies?
That would be wild. Oh my God.
And that's why he becomes a volunteer? I don't know. Wild. But I just feel like it's going to, and we know it's also set up for us that like he's super emo over Poppy stealing his girlfriend, which like I get it, but also it's Poppy. So like you had to expect that, right?
Oh my God.
Just saying.
Yeah. Although I love how assertive he is. He reminds me of big Zhao Sky. Zhao. Which one is Hang?
Hang is Sky.
Sky, that's right. Sky, where he's like, you think he's fully straight, and then he sees a cute boy, and he's like, I'm gonna go after you. I got you. Because there's a moment in the trailer for Sky in Your Heart where Fa fully goes, I'm gonna go after you now. You're like, whoa.
I will say I do love the part because, like, listen, it looks big, emo, and I just don't know if I'm here for it. Like, I don't love the whole, like, we're in our feels the whole time BLs. Like,
It's very Tale of a
it's a
Thousand Stars,
lot.
which is like, you know,
A
what
Tale of
the
a Thousand Stars, like, we're in our feels the whole time, which I do love A Tale of a
Earthquakes are
Thousand
always
Stars.
in their feels in their shows.
I do love A Tale of a Thousand Stars, but, like, I like A Tale of a Thousand Stars for, like, the cow tongue of it all and the Drake of it all and the pinky touch and the bad Sharpie beard. Like, that's what I'm in
Yeah.
it for in A Tale of a Thousand Stars, right? Like, that's what I'm here for.
Right.
And like the little kids that are just like pure comedy. Like, that's what I'm here for. But
yeah.
I do love there's a part and they show it. I think it's in the trailer and they definitely show it in the like the next on at the end of Ep 8 of Star in My Mind.
Yeah.
Where like Fa puts like a flower behind Prince's ear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is
On the
so soft.
side of the mountain.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm like, the aesthetic of this.
Okay, we were joking about this. What do you think the business is?
Oh, mafia, 100p. It's definitely something sketchy. Like, Prince's family is definitely involved in something sketchy, and Mecca's gonna have to like get involved to like save him somehow, for sure. For sure. It's definitely something sketchy because he's like because like in Ep 8 of Star in My Mind, he's like, you can't say.
Right. I think it's some kind of like, I don't know.
So, okay, Prince is obviously like a very rich boy, right? He like privately owns a mountain and like a resort and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But he's like, you guys, I'm not that rich. Like, I'm just like any normal person.
Who do we know?
What BL boy? No, actually, I don't think. I think who you're thinking of would fully be like, no, I'm super rich. But like, which BL boy? Like, I feel like this is like big meta win vibes.
Yeah.
Right? Because like Nanon has talked about like there's this really funny. I think it was maybe it was a YouTube live. I think it was a YouTube live where Nanon was talking about meta win, and he was like the lamps in my house cost like $18, but there's a lamp in Wynn's house that costs $1,800. And it's just like really funny, like, obviously no one should ever be shamed for their economic status regardless of like which end of the spectrum they're on. But it's this really funny moment where Nanon is like, no, like, he's rich, like, you guys, he's like rich. And it's just like, it's this really funny moment of like, no, but like, you're a rich kid though. And but like Wynn definitely doesn't have those like stereotypical rich kid, at least not on purpose. And so I feel like this is big like Wynn meta win vibes or Pooin vibes, because Pooin did this really funny thing once where like it was in like the throes of the Rona when we were all still locked down.
Yeah.
And he like did this thing where he was like walking through his garden. And he's like on IG, it was like IG stories, and he's like on this swing in his garden at his house. And I was like, this kid has the fanciest house I've ever like. And it was clearly he didn't understand that like this is some like
it's also
fancy boy business.
It's also like Dunk, who still has a nanny,
right,
and is 20 something years old.
If you haven't watched the Armshare with Dunk,
oh, so good.
It's just like it's really cute behavior. Again, like I don't think that anyone should ever be shamed for like their economic status, regardless of which end of the spectrum they're on, or if they're in the middle, right? That kind of thing. But like, it's very endearing behavior,
right? Yeah. So that last episode of Star in My Mind, where they're sitting around the campfire, and I love how they're playing the like little like get to know you game, and they're like, what did you think when you first met him, and like, what did you think, whatever. And then DaoNuea and Clun walk off onto this bridge, which might be their death.
Oh my god, I saw this bridge and I was like, I would never walk on this bridge.
First of all, it's on the side of a mountain and it's incredibly well lit.
And then they sit on the bridge and I was like, no. I was like, don't sit down.
And then we get like a sweet kiss.
Yes, very cute.
These boys are just they're just so sweet.
I love the whole like the North Star never changes its position.
Okay, here's the question to end this series Sunday. What show do you want to see them in next? What type of show? I feel like they do great with a gang daddy show.
No, well, I would never buy Dunk as a gang daddy.
Joong is playing.
He's in this mafia show. No, I don't think I could buy Dunk as like a gang baby, even a gang baby.
You don't see him as like a barcode to a Porsche situation.
No.
Interesting.
No. I honestly also, because I feel like at this point, I think that like this whole mafia gang show thing is starting to get overplayed. Like I don't really want more of those.
Okay.
Just in general. I think
what's the other one
we've
we've
kind
gotten?
of hit our limit on those. There's a lot of them that like that theme of like the gangs, right? It's like Not Me and
yeah, but Not Me was
all the
Not Me was like a
political activism,
yeah.
right? But like the grungy, the
yeah,
grunginess
yeah.
of it, right? And like Manner of Death, and like
maybe like an office romance situation would be interesting for them. I'm excited to see Work from Heart because we're getting like an office sitcom-y situation, I think.
Yeah, like a Paint with Love kind of thing.
Yeah. I surprisingly liked Paint with Love.
I loved Paint with Love, actually. I wasn't expecting it either. I was not expecting it.
We were both like, I think I like it. And you were like, I think I like it too.
I think I like it. Yeah, no, that show was actually really good.
That was really funny.
I don't know what I want to see Joong Dunk in, which is weird because like I feel like normally I have a very clear vision of like what I want to see people in next.
Yeah. I feel like they give me a little bit of Max Tool vibes.
Yeah.
Like I could see them in like a Manner of Death where Dunk plays Tool's character.
They're just too baby to be in Manner of Death. Like Manner of Death needs grown-ups. Like Dunk looks like an 18-year-old. You know what I mean? Like Dunk.
They can stay in university for another couple years.
Yeah, just because he looks so young. Like it's not his fault.
Yeah.
But he's like a Kuhart, right? Where it's like it's not his fault. It's just what he looks like.
Yeah.
But I know if you told me he had like his like medical degree, I'd be like, you're lying. Like, what is he, Doogie Howser? Like
Chris Strickland,
right? Like, is he like a lawyer at age 18?
Truly amazing.
Somebody needs to make a show about that kid's freaking life, I swear.
Okay, honorable mention. What's funny about this show is that we get that Don't Say No house again. The house with the stairs that's shown up in Cutie
We also
Pie,
get the Don't Say No mom.
And so it's funny because I was like, does the mom come with the house? Because like the same mom plays the mom for like so many of these boys.
We should fully like go to Thailand and try and rent this house and see if she just is like part of the amenities.
Yeah.
We also get Clune's apartment is Pat's apartment in Bad Buddy.
Yes.
Every time they eat on that countertop, I get I get goosebumps because like, I'm like, has this been properly sanitized? Like
I saw that last episode.
Like this is not a porn.
I mean, it has it has a great, what is that area called?
Their outdoor area?
Yeah.
Their balcony?
It's not a balcony because it's like
it's a terrace.
Yeah. It has a nice terrace.
But I think that a balcony and a terrace are like, I think people assume that balcony means tiny, but I don't think it always means that.
We should. Do we know an architecture student?
Tool.
Oh, yeah. He should know. He's getting his master's in real estate development from an Ivy League school.
Let's see. Let's give it a quick Google.
What is the difference between balcony and terrace?
Okay, so literally the definition, it is not size dependent.
Right.
It's a platform enclosed by a wall or balustrade on the outside of a building with access from an upper floor window or door. So it is balcony.
So
has nothing to do with size. So
can a terrace be a balcony?
Let's see.
But a balcony can't be a terrace.
Well, let's find out what a terrace is.
Yeah, let's find out.
It's not a terrace. It's exclusively not a terrace. A terrace is a level paved area or platform next to a building, similar to a patio or a veranda. A terrace is not up.
So it's
a series of flat areas made on a slope.
Based on location.
Yeah.
In relation to the building.
So a terrace is on like the ground level. A balcony is on an upper level.
Interesting.
Yes. So it's not a terrace at all.
The things that you learn on Let's Talk BL.
Not a terrace at all.
Where we talk about BL, but
it's only a balcony.
Also talk about murder. We will talk about
first aid.
We will talk about
law.
Language learning. You never know what you're going to get. But you do know you can get merch.
Shop.letstalkbl.com.
And
get it while you can, because at the end of season 2, all of this current merch is going away. Season 3, there will be brand new merch.
Yes.
So if you like any of the current merch that's out, get it now.
Get your tickets to the Raikan FanCon, because we'll be there. I mean,
of course, that's why you should. That's why, like, you want it. Like,
there will be 54 Thai actors, but like, who cares?
54 kings, you
Let's
guys.
talk BL's there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wild. It's
gonna be crazy. And if you do not already have, if you cannot go attend in person, and you do not already have your Go Live ticket, this is literally the last episode that you can hear about winning one of 3 live stream passes. Enter the giveaway. The giveaway ends at the end of May, and then we'll announce the winner. Don't worry, there will be 2 more giveaways if you do not win this first one, but go ahead and enter this first one to see if you do win it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll probably hear us on the live stream screaming as soon as Sua hits the stage.
Right. Sua will be there, and actually you won't hear me because I will drop dead. But if you watch our videos enough, I promise to come haunt you, and I'll just live podcast for you.
I feel like
my spirit will.
It's gonna be that moment, you know, in those award shows when like an ex-boyfriend is in the audience when like the person is on stage, or like there's some kind of thing where the person on stage and there's somebody in the audience. As soon as Sarah comes on stage, the camera will cut to us.
And I will drop dead. People will have to watch a murder film.
And I will.
What are those called? They're called something. I don't know.
And I will pull a full like, "You're doing great, sweetie."
I'll just drop dead.
Like a Mean Girls.
Actually, I'll probably already be dead, because I feel like the second that I see War with my own eyes,
you're gonna be in the same building with War.
I'll just drop dead. Like, I won't even say anything. I'll just like hit the ground for sure.
Is there any Western actor that you feel the same way towards?
Josh Hutcherson.
And you've never seen him in person?
No.
Was there anyone close to that, like when you knew you'd see in person?
Yuto.
True.
You saw how that worked out for me.
But you survived.
But you remember, I literally blacked out. I fell down. I fell down before I even got to him.
It's true.
I literally walked up to the table and fell down. So
good times. Okay,
and then yeah, so this should be fun. You definitely want to experience it for yourself.
You come to the FanCon to watch us experiencing the FanCon.
No, you come to the FanCon so that you too can drop dead for whichever of the 54 boys do it for you.
Yes. Oh, speaking of the FanCon, the song that they played to introduce every single boy played repeatedly in this show.
In Star of My Mind, yeah, it did.
I was like, has this song been in every other show and we've just never
noticed it?
My mind was blown. Was that a coincidence? I need to know. Let's message James and be like,
James,
where did you get this song from? What show is the song originally in? Curious.
If you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Put it in the comments.
You know. This has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.
See you next time.